So as the CMO of Google, you actually have an interesting vantage point because your job is to promote Google's AI features like Gemini, educate them on it, but you're also a marketer who's using them in your teams.
Yeah.
As it's become from theory to reality, let's get real about AI and how it's really working. What's your honest assessment? Like, where is it helpful in your work? Where does it have limitations? So if you had to give some grades out, what gets an A and what gets an F?
First of all, the pace of launch of features for us has just changed dramatically. So in the world where we had time to work on stuff is gone. And so my team and I, have had to adapt very fast to a world where our company is shifting and launching these really cool features almost on a weekly basis. And so you have to take a different approach. It sort of breaks some of the old habits. And so what that's meant is that we've started moving fast and experimenting, and I kind of see three big areas where we're using AI right now. One is all around everyday productivity. One is around media measurement, and one is around creative and production. And there's different grades, I would say, for each of those. I think we're in a more advanced stage, I would say, in everyday productivity. It's probably closer to an A, I would say. No one has to deal with a blank page anymore. We can get a first draft of a blog post, in minutes. We can summarize email threads immediately. There's a lot of everyday productivity. Our teams are incredibly busy, and if I can give them back a few minutes a day, that's really valuable. So, that's a huge, important focus for us, and an easy place for everyone in the team to start. I think media measurement, we're Google, obviously. We love our ads products and our ads tools. We believe they drive tremendous value. My team, as marketers and advertisers, we want to be the best at using Google's ad stack, so we're deeply invested in that for years. And I've been using AI for years, but this next phase allows us to drive even more return in terms of our media and our measurement, and that's incredibly important for us. And the third big bucket then is, the entire creative and production process. And there we're seeing probably I wouldn't give it an A quite yet. I think there are definite wins around efficiencies and execution and getting work into many countries much faster, but I still think there's also a huge opportunity to really unlock imagination and audacity and think of big ideas we couldn't do before, that we can now, we're at the beginning of that phase where we can actually start to do things that were almost impossible in the past. I think it's early stages for that.
As a CMO, you're all, and many CMOs are out here, more accountable for results than ever before. So how is AI helping in that?
I feel deeply accountable for the investments of people and budget that I'm responsible for. Proud to be able to contribute to the company's growth. I'm proud of the work my team does. Our job is to drive impact and outcomes for the company. So I really do see AI as a growth catalyst. If I can invest in a campaign, a recent example we launched our hardworking Pixel A phone, our latest, our P9 A, and we were able to drive far more responsiveness to our campaigns with a far lower cost and get it to market much faster using AI. I think another area where I feel like we can drive more value is in some simple things like creative testing, where again we would lose 2 to 3 weeks doing creative testing. We're now at the point where we can just about replace that with using AI to test all our creative and also optimize on the fly our creative. So we're just shipping the higher performing creative and not having to learn the hard way after the fact what creative didn't work, for example. We can really actually pre-flight check all our creative now and just ship the work we know is going to perform the best. Ultimately, it's all in service of better outcomes, big ideas, dreaming bigger, big creative thinking. And so that's obviously where we're headed to.
When you think about just the potential of storytelling, the kinds of ideas, the kinds of things that brands can do, like what are you seeing already? And what are some potential opportunities that maybe we aren't even seeing yet?
I've always felt in our industry, in the many years I've been in it, that there are always new tools and new toys to play with. And in all cases, be it our wonderful agency partners who've been on this journey with us over many years, or be it my in-house teams, it is the creatives who are the fastest to move when there's new toys to play with. And they have so much fun. I think the first example I was going to share is Best Phones Forever. This is a campaign we love. It's a little bit cheeky. It's the iPhone and the Google Pixel phone going on trips together, being best buddies. It used to take us, weeks to months to craft one of these beautiful stories. Now, we can go out and ask people who are loving this work, send us in your stories, send us in the journeys you'd love these phones to go on, and then we could turn around like hundreds of these stories and hundreds of these videos in like sort of 24 hours. Which we could never have done before. I think, we're starting to move from sort of still assets to video. I think video is really the ultimate expression of creativity, and being able to create video using AI, I think is incredibly exciting. I think we're at the early stages of that, but we're seeing amazing things. We recently launched a couple of weeks ago VO2. So VO is our AI video model. This is an example of some of the stuff my team's having fun with. I wanted to talk a minute about prompts because we talk a lot about AI. Will it replace the humans? What's the creative process look like? It's so clear to me now working with these tools, especially something like VO through Gemini, is that the role of the creative is more important than ever. The role of the visionary, is more important than ever because you have to have a vision to get great output. You have to be able to write a prompt that will drive output like this. I cannot drive output like this, to be very clear. I've attempted it. It takes somebody who is a professional, like capital C creative, to write the prompt that will drive, a car spinning like this. They know camera angles. They can speak to camera panning. It's almost like real-time direction in so many ways. What's amazing about it is just the speed of it, in that you can actually just sort of real-time direct, have a vision in your head, talk to the models, and out comes literally what you can see in your head. And that's just mind-blowing to me.
We talk a lot about content and ads, and as someone that has experience design as part of what we do, I'm also really excited about just the potential of AI changing experiences. Because as we're all starting to use these tools, we recently worked with you all on launching Circle to Search. And even that alone is a new kind of experience. It's a gesture. And so thinking about, for all brands, what new kinds of experiences can they create?
This is a great example of where we came to you and we had no time. This is a feature that was shipping fast together with Samsung last year, Circle to Search, bringing new features to search that energize younger audiences. Visual search as a concept, whether it be Circle to Search or Google Lens, incredibly important to us. And so now seeing features like this that we worked on fast together and sort of branding a gesture now be actually in hundreds of millions of devices and being used by many people all over the world who just love it. It's just super exciting to see just how fast this is happening and just how we can lean in and really do really exciting work.
As we move towards this future of AI-generated content, do you ever worry about quality? Like, what do you think about when you need to set the bar high and how to keep that going with teams as they're experimenting with all of this?
I've always worried about quality. I've worried about it long before AI. I'll worry about it long after AI. We ship a lot of work, and internally a huge focus of mine is that everything we ship should be Google grade at all times. We call it Google grade. Meet that bar. It's a huge spotlight on us in the world, and our work has to be excellent. And let me be very clear, in our industry, we can create a lot of bad work without needing AI. Humans create a lot of bad work.
No.
AI has the potential to scale that. So, I do think all of us need to pay attention to this and make sure that as we embark on this exciting, innovative journey, no different to any of the other tools that have come our way in this industry, that nothing becomes a crutch that justifies bad work shipping. When I look at the quality now of the creative that like Demand Gen or PMax can create, it's phenomenal. So in fact, the actual tools themselves, the bar is actually really, really, really high, and you're seeing really beautiful creative that allows you to sort of almost deliver on the promise that we've always all wanted to deliver on, which is, the perfect ad in front of the perfect person at the perfect time, that truly helpful ad to the right person at the right time, almost getting there, really getting there, but in a way where the bar stays high. And so if we can do both of those things well, then I think that's very exciting. But we have to obviously make sure the bar stays high.
In terms of these tools and ways of working, where would you suggest people start?
There are folks who are really, really excited about getting started on this journey, and there are folks who are nervous and they're scared of making mistakes. And so I think the number one thing for me has been, it kind of starts with all of us. It has to start with us as leaders. I have to use AI tools every day. Teams have to see me, using them and making mistakes and, humanizing it a bit so that we're all no different to any other set of tools. The second thing is build a culture of experimentation. We're big believers in experimenting and launching and iterating and trying things. But building a culture of experimentation where you kick off lots of pilots. So we've kicked off over 50 pilots using 1P tools and third-party tools, and we were seeing lots of especially in our campaigns anywhere from 18% upwards, immediate wins and increases in performance, and so that gets people excited because they're seeing great return. They're also seeing we can get our costs reduced, we can get to market faster through all these pilots. And then I think you hit a moment in the team where they just start to feel like, oh wow, this is as big as my imagination. This is as big as my imagination. And what crazy things could we do? How could we dream really big? One example that I saw a sneak preview of a few weeks ago, which we were doing with the Sphere. So the Sphere came to us on Warner Brothers, and they have this extraordinary IP Warner Brothers have, which is Wizard of Oz for the 1930s. How do you bring that to the biggest and most sophisticated and highest res screen in the world? Well, you need AI to do that. And so it's one of these crazy ideas, the best of technology, the best of our models, together with the best of creatives, the Sphere team, Warner team, and all the partners, to take something that was so beautiful and so perfect and to bring it, the original IP, not new actors, new shooting, new anything. When we showed this preview a few weeks ago, everyone just gasped. And you got this really emotional, very human, connection. You really felt like, wow, there's such an opportunity here, for storytelling. And then just the sky's the limit in terms of what we can do with the human imagination and brilliant thinking along with these extraordinary tools.